What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video. We're here with the Snowfall episode 2 reaction recap. Now, I want to say that this is probably hands down the most profound and maybe important episode of the series thus far. And the reason why I say that is because there's always intent behind the content that you watch on TV, movies, commercials, social media, everything. And the intention behind everything that was shown in episode 2, to me, I wasn't even expecting that. And because of how privy I am to, black culture, black consciousness, black history, African history, I was able to absorb everything for what it actually was. So I was able to see it for not just the show, but for what it means to the audience, and particularly the black audience, because this episode was trying to say something very important. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. I went into this episode pretty much wondering what's happening next, and obviously Leon is back into the fold, and so is Wanda. Now, as the episode was starting, Leon and Wanda, they're in Africa, and basically they're living a totally separate life, and they were pretty much starting fresh in the motherland, you know what I'm saying? And what I really liked about what they were doing is it showed how black people in America need to and have the option to literally go back to see what our people are doing, to go back to where our people come from. And I liked how they were immersed in culture and talking to people, dressing a certain way, learning about themselves, learning about, their history, and really, getting into who they really are. You know what I'm saying? And what was already starting to turn me off was the fact that Leon was kind of thinking about what was happening in, the US, what was happening in America and about everybody and stuff like that. And I'm just like, Leon, and I don't feel like this now, but initially it's just like Leon needs to, at that point, in the episode, I was feeling like he was just still being, Franklin's sidekick. And I'm like, it's time for him to, be something more, like be your own man. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with, separating yourself from what can actually keep you alive. You know what I'm saying? And especially Wanda. Now, I'm not sure the actress's name. Let me actually look up her name real quick. So Gail Bean. I want to say Gail Bean looked very attractive in this episode. She's already pretty, but it's like I never really appreciated her until I saw her for who she actually was in this episode. And I want to say she did a really great job in showing her character growth from, again, her being, the neighborhood crackhead, saying, to a black woman who has, overcome all her trials and struggles that she's ever had in life. And I love that about her. So shout out to Gail Bean. She's really dope. I think she's dating the guy who plays Leon in real life. I'm not sure if that's true, but anyway. So I hated the fact that this dude Leon was really going to bring her back to America, to a past that literally tried to destroy her. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, and almost like I was getting mad because I'm like, yo, she's telling you that there's nothing there for her, but like trauma that she left behind, and you want to bring her back to that? I'm like, at least if you want to go back so bad, then go back by yourself. You don't have to. She doesn't need to be there. What is she gonna do? Is she gonna help in any way? It's like you wanted her there for moral support, and it's like in reality you're really putting her in danger, because most people know that recovering drug addicts, you can't put them back in that environment. Even if they go clean, if you put them back in that environment, it's only going to create triggers and responses in their brain that's going to make them seek out that same drug that they got off of. So me, I'm like, yo, like you're taking a step backward, literally, by doing that. It's like, what's there for you? And she was trying to tell him, like, yo, there are things that you can do here that can help them out. You don't have to go back. And he's like, nah, I gotta go back. the most important thing that I got from this episode, and what I think the moral of the story or the moral of the episode was, is it highlights what black people have done to themselves and what black people continue to do to ourselves today. For instance, when Leon and Wanda, when they were going through what was essentially I guess you could say a prison where, you know, black slaves were, you know, abused, murdered, and killed and moved through, they came to realize that these black people were sold to Europeans by other black people. And they were sitting there after the fact, you know, because as they were walking through that area, they were just taking in what had actually taken place. And the thing is, it's heartbreaking, especially when you grow to have a connection to your people. You then become your own people, if you get what I'm saying. So it's like if somebody shoots your brother or kills your brother, you're gonna be hurt because that was your brother. You see yourselves in them. So it's like now Leon and Wanda, they began to see themselves in their ancestors, and they made the parallel and correlation to what was happening back home, you know what I'm saying, in America or in LA. I forgot where this show actually takes place for whatever reason, but and essentially Leon was saying like, yo, the way that black people were selling each other to, you know, white people, you know, Europeans and all of that, he was like, yo, I was basically doing that. I was selling, you know, my own people to crack. And he said that, you know, if given the opportunity to be free, slaves back in the day would take that, you know, without question. They would just, you know what I'm saying? Whereas, you know, drug addicts, people who are addicted to crack and, you know, hardcore drugs, even if given the opportunity to go clean, they probably wouldn't do it. So the fact that he took part in, you know, the death and destruction of his own people back home, it broke him. It hurt him. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, these things are happening right now. You know what I'm saying? Art imitates life, you know? And I hope people really kind of take that, you know, portion of the episode for what it really is. Black people only. And there was a quote that I'm going to read from the episode, which is pretty much the impetus for, you know, Leon feeling a way about the past. Now I want to see if I can find it. Okay, so the quote says, "The errors of the past must be corrected in order to reestablish the confidence of our people in a secure future." I don't agree with that to an extent, because I feel like how that quote applies to Leon in the situation, it's almost as if he has to ruin his own future to try to correct the past in a way, if you get what I'm saying. You know, they say that a lot of times if you don't focus on what's in front of you in your car and you're too busy looking in your rear view mirror, you're gonna crash, and it's in your rear view for a reason. So to kind of connect what I just said about, you know, again, the grand overall message, you know, that is conveying to black people in this episode. So when Leon actually does go back, you know, to LA and shit like that, he's just seeing, again, constant examples, or he's hearing examples of what we just do to ourselves. We can't talk about what the character Reed is doing, you know what I'm saying, when really he couldn't do it if black people weren't down to destroy themselves for their own personal gain. You know, because really, when you think about the issue between Franklin, Jerome, and Louie, what is it rooted in? Personal gain. Like they're mad about money. It's not about anything that's like some real shit. No, it's about money at the end of the day. And you know, it's just sad. You know what I'm saying? Because these things are based on things that are happening in real life. And you know, in my opinion, I feel like Leon shouldn't feel bad for choosing himself and choosing his woman, because you're putting yourself and her at risk to try to help other people that have their minds set on destroying themselves. You know, like, again, that's pretty much the overall message that black people really need to take from this episode. You know, it's just be mindful or be self-aware of yourself and what you're doing. So before you complain about somebody else, focus on what you're doing. So before you talk about white supremacy and white people, focus on what you are doing to contribute to your own problems, because we have a huge part to play in the disenfranchisement and the systematic inferiority, you know what I'm saying, or systemic inferiority that we're going through in this country right now. A lot of you know what we're dealing with is self-inflicted. Like, let's just be real. And this episode is saying that, you know, because it's like when you write a story, you're trying to tell the audience something, and that's, you know, because of, you know, how my mind works and my, you know, again, my black consciousness works, I was able to receive this message for what it is. Because when you go back to people, because it, like, my mentality is this: you meet people where they are, and if they don't want to move forward, you got to leave them where they're at. Because Leon was already trying to, you know, tell people how to better themselves and how there's so much bigger to black people than just selling drugs and pushing weight. And they laughed at him, and that's why he had to leave, because he was like, yo, like, y'all not doing anything, so I'm a bounce. You know, them dudes that he was working with on the block is the same thing. Same thing with Franklin. These people, they are who they are. You know, drug dealers are going to do what drug dealers do. And if they don't want to recognize their own self-worth, then it's just like, yo, like, leave them and don't feel bad about it. Wanda, she went to go visit her mother. And her mother couldn't see Wanda for who she is today, because her mother was so focused on yesterday that she wasn't focused on the present moment. So she's like, Mom, I'm clean. You know, I'm good now. I just went to Africa. I wanted to give you something. And then all her mother, you know, would do is just, you know, shove, you know, her past mistakes in her face. And I'm like, this is why I'm like, yo, going back wasn't worth it, because what are they going back to? Just because you from somewhere don't mean that that's home. You just from there, you know what I'm saying? You know, and it's just like, that just goes to show, you know, what can happen to people when they just harp on the past and they just want to be fixated on the past. Like, no, you got to move forward. You got to build, you know, focus on, you know, putting one foot in front of the other, not putting one foot behind the other and going backwards. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very unfortunate, and I think Leon and Wanda, I don't see things ending well for them. Like, frankly, I don't see things ending well for anybody on this damn show. But I think with this episode, it's very, very unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? Because you see that, you know, they got married. They had a, you know, how should I say, a cultural ceremony, a spiritual ceremony, an African, you know, ceremony, a black ceremony, and it's just like they left all of that to go back to that dump. You know what I'm saying? Like these hood rich assholes that they just don't even, they can't even perceive themselves. Like Jay-Z has a lyric, you know, so Jay-Z has a lyric from the song Lost Ones. So Jay-Z says, when you could look in the mirror like there I am and still not see what you become. Like, that's a fact. Like, these people look in the mirror all the time and cannot see themselves for who they actually really are. So anyway, so that's my thoughts on Leon and Wanda and the episode altogether, as a whole. Jerome and Louie, their vibe in this episode was very dark and everybody is on edge, you know what I'm saying? But those two, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Because when Leon came just to see them, they were pretty much like, yo, like, fuck off. You know, they didn't even want to talk to him, because they're looking at it like, oh, you know, oh, you left, you went to Africa, and then you trying to come back here being all bougie and thinking that, you know what I'm saying? And they just spit in his face. So he left, he gave him a gift, and they're like, oh, take it with you. And it's just like, yo, like, I don't know, like, the Jerome and Louie, they're just not likable at all. You know, it's just horrible. So I again, those two are spiraling, and they are too stupid to even realize it. Franklin is pretty much just like, yo, if you're gonna come back, cool, but if you're gonna be here, he was like, you're gonna have to pick a side. He was like, you know, you can't just, you know, kind of, you know, just be coasting through. He's like, yo, you're gonna either be with them or you're gonna be with me. And he had to make a choice. And I'm like, or he said, just take your girl and leave while you can. And that, honestly, that is the last opportunity he's gonna get to leave, because if he stays, which I'm pretty sure he is, things are not gonna go, you know, well for him in the long run at all. Leon is gonna die. You know, we know Franklin gonna die, or he gonna end up in jail. You know what I'm saying? That's what they say, right? You're either gonna end up, you know, in jail or dead, one or the other. Wanda, I'm afraid she's gonna get strung out on drugs again. I really hope not. But again, Leon is not gonna look after her, you know, the entire time. There's gonna be moments where he's not there, and what is she gonna do? Get hooked on drugs again, which I feel like is gonna send, you know, the wrong message to people. But yeah, I think this episode, again, it was really about Leon and Wanda into black people. This is a point where, you know, the other characters really took a back seat in this episode, in my opinion. And I will say about Reed and Gustavo, it's like feds are watching feds. It's like these federal agents are like all watching each other. And again, all of this chaos is literally gonna come to a head at some point. And that's when everything is gonna, you know, come crashing down in the worst kind of way. But anyway, so that's, you know, pretty much, you know, my thoughts on the episode. Really, I think, again, people need to, you know, watch these shows with a different set of eyes, and it's only gonna be with, again, a certain perspective and knowledge. Is you're going to be able to see it for what it is. But to the naked eye, this was just another episode of Snowfall. But to me, clearly, I didn't see it that way. And it spoke to me as a black man, you know, living in America right now, who wants to get, you know, more in touch with, you know, my people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just a privilege to be able to go back to Africa and to connect with people and to be accepted into the cultures that your ancestors come from. Because we've been on this earth for hundreds of thousands of years. You know, 250,000 years to be exact. So we've been around for a long time, and our lineage goes way back, and it's for us to find that. And then the other thing is, again, like, leave the past in the past. The past is there for a reason. And if you go backtracking, you're going to backtrack into something, and 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be anything good. You know what I'm saying? And you're never going to see it coming because you're going backwards. You know what I'm saying? You can only see forward. Life is linear. You can only see forward. You don't have eyes in the back of your head. So those are my thoughts. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Good luck.